doesn't matter. Does it really matter? From Ireland. I grew up in Ireland and Germany. My mother's from Oakland, California. So, but yeah, but it's like Juiceline. You know, people. It's not young cats that are doing it. Like, if people are getting better with age. And for me, a lot of rappers I'm listening to, when they turn 30, I'm like, oh, wow, what's going to happen next? When rappers turn 40, you're like, this is going to be really good. Because some rappers really come into their own in their 40s. And when it's going to be 50s, you know, to me, there's some stuff's only getting better. So, yeah, there's plenty of, the UK has got a soulfulness, and I mean, the Afrofuturism from the UK has got its own beauty to it. So yeah, I love those UK stuff.
I'm going to pick on my brother here. Who you listen to?
Me.
He's going to rap, watch out.
I'm not going to rap. It's like the obvious people, you know, like Blade Brown. Obviously, like people from my old town, like Pifawana, Royalists. Obviously, I have to strip my own town. Maurice Delta. Yeah. Yeah, that's like it really.
I think I hear people talk about
Listen to, you're asking them who you listen to.
Okay, if I say UK, in my younger years, I used to listen to MSI, Pen Talk.
Yes.
What else can I think of? I liked it when actually, who's from MSI that went up and did his own thing, but it's kind of like Christian rap? H, love that stuff, I like that stuff. Dare I say I like a bit of Slash? Dare I say I like a bit of Becky, the new stuff now? Dare I say, I do like Gigs, I do like Blade Brown, I do like Squeaks. I like a bit of everything.
Can I throw something?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got some of these grime artists that are now calling themselves hip hop artists. What's your view in that?
Well, it's not for me to have a view, I'm just a facilitator.
Okay, anyone else out there?
I've got a view on that.
Please, speak up, sis. Go on, that's venom.
Okay, so grime art. It's crazy because I think that grime art, I think everything, hip hop, you could say that hip hop is a deviation of bashment and dancehall and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not wrong to say that grime has deviated from hip hop and therefore a grime artist is a division of hip hop. It's not hard to say that. I think that when you take an artist out of the grime genre and put them on hip hop, you definitely see how talented they are. I think it showcases them more.
So sometimes it
come back by 100. Then you're like, wow.
Yeah, you're better at grime.
Creative views or what? but yeah, I think artists in general should be able to go across genres regardless. I think it shows your versatility as an artist if you're able to touch every genre.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because it also goes hand in hand with this. You sold out. What is selling out?
What is that? Unless you are cake soaping it out like white out. So, you know, like, I mean, if I suddenly turned up and I'm white, you can say that I sold out because I'm no longer myself.
But if you had no money and then all of a sudden you had, is that selling out? I don't know.
It's not. It isn't really. It's just acquiring and speaking about your newfound position, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah, it's
well, the old grime, like the original grime, you're found. Yeah, the original grime that come out that was more, basic. That was more away from hip hop, and the way hip hop was then, it was two opposites.
Yeah.
But now, if I play like Big Sean's last record when he's rhyming fast, and the grime thing, it's kind of the same thing. But you know what I'm saying? A lot of Kendrick's patterns and his style, because he's doing a lot of double time.
Yeah.
It does flipping with grime. So.
You said that grime was basic when it first started, but wasn't hip hop quite basic when it first started?
No, but you only had like more backpacky type hip hop at the time. You had more boom bap at the time. So boom bap and grime is far away, but the new electronic hip hop and grime is very close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think also as well, like a couple of years, even though it's been around for ages, but a couple of years ago when people were heavily on that type of trap sound within hip hop, like a lot of those beats, it just sound like old school grime beats to me, and like the way they're spitting over them as well. And like I could literally play like in a set, I could play like they're about the same tempo, like 140 BPM. I can play a hip hop one and a grime one just like that in the same set. Nobody will bat an eyelid because it's like the same type of, you know what I mean? It's the same type of feel.
I guess it depends on how the MC has patterned his lyrics, because it's, you know, you could either do it slow, you could do it fast. I remember when I was rapping, we were rapping at like 130 BPM. My lips would fall off.
Yeah, but it's like when you hear like Twister and that, sometimes I don't really like, I'm giving my opinion now, I don't really like Let me stop. Let me get your view.
Me, I just think, basically, you've got a lot of UK artists trying to be American. I'm saying the Americans trying to be us.
Yes.
You got like Kanye and that, using words like geezer and that. Like these are our words, like this is UK stuff.
I've never heard an American say geezer, but what
I've heard them say,
really?
Yeah, really, like Kanye, not just Kanye, like
Kanye.
I know, but like you got a lot of people, American artists here, just using the like our flow.
Yeah, they do.
Like
They
our
do. We
swag.
don't even realise that.
Like they're not even realising like our swag.
Yeah.
Even trying to dress like us.
Yeah.
People don't realise that a lot of the producers are UK producers as well.
Yeah.
Producing for these American artists, so they're being heavily influenced by us.
I mean, who's the guy? Oh my God, Dreddy. Look at that.
Yeah.
Produce Busta Rhymes and all kinds of things like whoa.
Even people like Harmony as well. Harmony knows more R&B.
He's from
No!
Birmingham. I think he's from Birmingham originally.
Well, props, I take my Gucci out.
Good. Giz, you want to say something?
Oh, I say I think still, Big up C Brown for putting on the day still, because it's nice and niceness. Good to see people supporting the thing as well. You see, when it comes to grime, we're having this kind of conversation of the day, you know. Because we are, you see, the rappers, we're the first people that will say, nah, grime ain't rap. You know, when you see on YouTube, and somebody will say grime and rap.
Yeah.
We was the first one to say grime ain't rap, you know. But grime is like UK's version to rap, because it's ours and it's built here. Even though I'm not a grime guy myself, but most of us, rappers that ain't 20, and we've been here a while, we originate from the American team, but we made it ours. And we talk about what we see, what's going on for us, which is kind of what's going on for anyone in the world that wasn't rich at the time, because we come from broke. But now, because things have changed now, the youths have got like iPads when they're 2, you know. So how they smoke, I'm serious. Youths have got iPads when they can't be music. But so they're coming from a whole different thing. So it's not like it's a completely different thing. They're talking what they're seeing. But grime was built here. So really, it's like how hip hop was built in America and come from whatever the struggles that was before. Grime is UK's hip hop.
It is because like even in American hip hop they have different forms in it, depending on which part of America that you're in.
It's completely different. New York's different from Con.
Yeah.
But one thing I give grime, that hip hop in the UK has lost. And I don't care if anybody disagrees with me. Yeah. See a grime artist, yeah? He's going on private radio station just to spit.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going in ciphers
Yes.
just to spit.
Just.
He's battling just to spit. These rappers now, yeah, they do a tune in the studio and they're thinking about, yo, let's rent out that bimmer and get like, straight to that, where the grime artist is trying to be a good spitter.
Mastering the craft. That's
So
what
that's one thing I give grime. There's the avenues, the battles. Like you do all of that. You have training. You don't just stay in the studio and then do a glamorous video.
Yeah.
What hip hop do now?
I
So
think that's to do with the age as well, though, you know.
yeah.
They're younger at the time, and when we was them ages, we was doing everything as well. So because
No, what I'm saying, this young generation of hip hop have lost it. We came up in that.
Yeah.
But the young generation of hip hop, they don't see the game with the same respect as the grime artists see.
I think there's more hunger in that grime thing, and that's what I think's missing. Some, not all the time, but sometimes you can hear an MC or you can watch a dance, and there's no real hunger. It's like they're focused on something else, whereas some people you can just see the fire in them. They want this thing, and that's what we need. You know, you need to have a lot of fire. You need to have that passion.
We've got some people in the audience who just want to.
So I was just wanting to say something about UK music. I'm more involved in drum and bass scene. It's interesting to think drum and bass. I don't know about your perspective on that. The drum and bass really is hip hop. Maybe you agree with that, isn't it? It's double time hip hop. It's based on break beats and The original break beats, Apache and Thick Break and Airman Break, all that good stuff. But drum and bass is like the new, it's kind of pop music now, it's in the charts. If you go to, we were travelling out and playing Derby, Leicester, Nottingham, Leeds, Bristol, this kind of places. And everyone there, 18 to 25 loves drum and bass and stuff like that. Yeah, they all love bass now. Where you go, they'll listen to bass line. It's like, it's almost like hip-hop's moved on a little bit, it's evolved. Drum and bass is maybe, and to me the future of hip-hop, maybe drum and bass and rhyme over double time beats. It hasn't really been explored yet, you know. And DB keeps cycling around again and going around, getting more commercial, going underground. But that's an interesting thing, it all comes from the same, to me drum and bass is hip-hop, it's basically the same. It goes back to the break beats. Yeah. In a way, that's really the foundation of hip-hop, and when you agree with that, the foundation of hip-hop is break beats. And you might say it's MC and B-boy, but without the break beats, there's nothing really, is it? The party vibes, obviously, you know, maybe. What you thought of that? MC and over double time beats is like the future direction of hip-hop.
Okay, let me get this gentleman interview here.
Alright, so would you say dancehall is Jamaican hip-hop?
Nah, because that come before.
Yeah, but everybody wants to cross-reference and say that everything's hip-hop, everything's got a similarity to hip-hop. That's like saying, you know what, country and western is actually...
Nah, but you can actually put drum and bass. Like there's like a tree and there's branches, and drum and bass can come off a hip-hop. Definitely can come off a hip-hop branch. You know what I mean? But the Jamaican music, that has to come before the hip-hop.
I hear what you're saying,
You know
it's
what
the
I mean?
foundation of hip-hop, no doubt. What I'm saying is you can still get like a reggae beat and make it hip-hop.
Yeah, because you could turn anything into hip-hop.
You couldn't turn Dolly Parton into hip-hop.
Somebody could do it.
So basically, you're saying everything's hip-hop.
Well, yeah.
Just get this one more view here.
Just Blaze sampled Hadaway and made it good.
From my point of view, sorry, thank you for all the impressions, because this is running in my head now. As a dancer, I react on music. And what I have in my body and what my feet are doing on deep house, drum and bass, rap music, sorry, Lords of the Underground inspired me in that time, because they making music with the voices and with what they have to talk. It wasn't the beat. Remember, Chief Rocker is just one music line. But what they said and how they said that reacted my whole body. And I would say, where's the border between hip-hop from the US, hip-hop from the UK? Where's the border between raga, dancehall? This is all a feeling itself, and the steps. What my body is doing are so similar sometimes. I don't know in which part of hip-hop style I am. That means for me, as a dancer and as somebody who reacts on the music, there is no real border, because, how you said, it's a branch of a big trunk, but near that trunk is standing another tree, and that tree is going into the other tree with the branches, like that. So there's, for me, it's in movement and in all that stuff what music is. There's no border, never was.
Quick point from this guy here. We've got to move it on.
Completely agree with like the cross-pollination. I just wanted to say our train departs in about 10 minutes. But if we want to continue this discussion and be part of this debate as well, so not sure best how to do it. I've of course got the Ustream links, but SIC'NIS has got my number. Sorry, SIC'NIS. But no, I do want to continue this conversation. We want to like to kind of continue this discussion and find out what we all do professionally as well. Because I'm sure there's dancers, there's A&Rs, there's people that organise events within the crowd, and it'd be wonderful to kind of connect like those two big trees and just let big things happen. So
there should be a Facebook page for just
yeah,
this discussion.
completely.
Someone should say,
We need to cross-pollinate.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, like you said, we've got to get back to Leicester in a minute, and I just wanted to say that this event here, this is essential. These kind of things, especially happening in Birmingham. You know what I'm saying? Like things like this. When this guy showed me the flyer and that, and I saw what was happening, I was like, man, I've been waiting for something like that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. So everybody in here, all the input I've heard, I've definitely been renewed in my drive, you know what I'm saying? Like, it don't stop anyway, but like I said, I've got material and like, definitely with you, I mean, like, Wu-Tang, that's my religion. I ain't got nothing close. Seriously, if you know, like, that attitude there, I ain't got nothing close to a religion and that, you know what I'm saying? Coming with the Wu-Tang Forever, some of the things on there, like, that's like, yo, what? Maintain 360 in the purpose. That's really like that's why it is to me, you know what I'm saying? I definitely want to get involved with that. But I'm gonna leave some CDs on the desk or something if anyone wants to grab something. And thank you to C Brown for putting it on as well. I remember meeting you like no desk on the desk. And yeah, for real. Look how big the world is, man. Birmingham's down the road from Leicester, you know what I'm saying? It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about the distance. But yeah, thank you for putting it on, having us, and all the input. You know what I'm saying? It means a lot to man like me, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
I thought I'd mention this now. Just before you go, underneath everyone's seats or chairs, there's kind of a form which Miss C. Brown would like you all to fill out. And there's a gentleman here with some pens. We haven't finished yet, but it would be good if you guys could fill it out before you go. There's one there. That guy's got some pens. I think we need to start looking at solutions. We can get carried away on talking about what's wrong and what's grime and what's hip-hop and all that stuff. So the question that I'd like to put to the panel first, how can hip-hop build an infrastructure so it creates an industry it creatively and financially controls? And I'd like to start with Smooth.
Well, the first thing is probably working together and sharing knowledge at the same time, because a lot of people get burnt from certain situations with them being in music. They get money taken from them, they get screwed over. They need, once that happens to someone, they need to share that experience with somebody else so that it doesn't happen again. And then if you work together, you can avoid those things happening and you can keep it in-house in that way, because we're kind of like, we're conditioned, because there's a question here we haven't asked, but so I'm going to go to it. We've been conditioned to think that there's only a certain amount of spots. So like the guy from Germany said, I don't know who he is. Yeah, the guy from Germany. He said like back in the day, we did it for the love of it, and it was like, this guy's doing it too, yeah, we can work together, things like that. But because we're conditioned to think there's a certain amount of spots, as soon as you see someone else, it's now subliminally in your head to think, oh, they're a threat. So it's kind of like a sabotage thing in certain ways, because even if like Miss C. Brown even doing this, with getting me involved, I can speak from personal experience as a DJ. Certain other DJs within Birmingham, they would never want to see me do anything because I've kind of done my own thing by myself. I haven't done it through another person. So because they think there's certain spots, they only want things to happen through them. Like when me and Missy Brown first knew each other, she's over there. Like remember with the show on New Star as well, I wanted to make sure that she was on New Star to have a show because we never had that type of outlet on there. Now, other than Missy Brown, I could probably name 3 other DJs within Birmingham who have given me links the same way I've given them links. And that's our problem. It's kind of holding us back, the lack of unity and this kind of like dog-eat-dog mentality. And by doing that, we're hurting ourselves.
SIC'NIS, how do you break that barrier of people just kind of focusing on themselves and the whole ego thing? I thought that was part of hip-hop anyway, isn't it?
It is to a certain extent. It is a part of hip-hop because, you know, I mean, I can say I'm the best SIC'NIS because I'm the only SIC'NIS, so of course I'm the best SIC'NIS. That doesn't mean Malik isn't the best Malik, and that doesn't mean I'm saying I'm the best and I'm sicker than Malik. I'm just saying I'm the best damn me that I can be, and nobody else can do me. So there is that egotistical thing. I think that to break the barrier, you've just got to believe in yourself and not see anybody as a threat. Sykes is a phenomenal female artist. She does rock, she does it with a band, she breaks it down. I don't feel threatened by Sykes. I am inspired and empowered by Sykes. If Sykes is performing, I want to be there so I can see Sykes perform. And I think that it starts within. If you're going to see anybody as a threat, then you are never going to proceed because you're always going to be louder and just do the thing.
This whole competitiveness though, isn't that just like healthy competition in hip-hop? Hasn't there always been battles between
that's when you're making your songs and you're actually like, you want to make this the best song you can, you want your performance to be the best, you want the best song out there, that's where the competition should be. But the other kind of competition, the other competition, it has to be dealt with in a certain way. Like me and where's Meeks? Zia. Well, me and Meeks, in 2009, 2010, after One Day came out, and there was just so much. We was working on music, and there was so much. There was more of a demand for us than we had. I took a break off and I was just getting back into it. So with that demand, we went and done more in the studio, and me and Mick started to work together. We've done a couple of tunes together. We wasn't so much about that, but it was just about, yeah, why not? And there was lots of other artists that we just all decided, why not? And you know what I mean, just done certain things together, and there was other things to facilitate that. There was Flush Media, there was Grind Blog, there was Word on Roll at the time, you know what I mean, doing videos and whatnot. So, the few people that came together, we helped Birmingham scene because we were just around each other more, in each other's videos. There was more love spreading around, and that helped the scene. In 2009, 2010, the grime in UK and Birmingham hip hop scene went up. You get what I'm saying? And it's only because of people working together. When me, Piff, GT and that, we all done the Birmingham City tune. And it's working with people sometimes you haven't done songs with, but you're like, this person's putting in work, why not? You get what I mean? It's about stepping away from the ego to be like, I'm not at your yard when you wake up, so there's no reason for you to get pissed off with me. We're not going to be around each other too much to piss each other off, just enough to get work done. You get what I mean? And that has to be, you have to kind of take your ego away and do that and come together, because man, we can't do it alone. One person can blow from Brom, yeah, cool. 2 people, but it has to be a movement. I'll give one example. Chief Keef came with a song called Don't Like. In his bedroom, in his yard, grandmother's yard, he's on house arrest. No tops on, jumping around, yeah. That got loads of views. And the amount of people that was interested in Chicago hip hop, and the amount of, there was about 5 of them got a deal, and all different youths in Chicago, there was attention on them because they was all doing something at the same time. So it made the rest of the world look at them. So that's what we have to do. We have to put the work out and be kind of unified and strategic with it. Like if there's something always coming out of Birmingham, always coming out of the UK at a high standard, people take more notice. And it only takes one thing to catch on these days with the internet. You've seen Bobby Smurda, a little dance got him where he is. So one little thing, you know, one Gig's done it with Talking the Hardest, a freestyle that just went everywhere. You get what I mean? If the scene was like it is now, and we had another Gigs Talking the Hardest, that could be the little intro to sending a lot of UK music to the rest of the world.
Okay.
So it's about us being on our grind for when that time happens.
Collaborating as well.
That's the same way the South done it in America, the T.I., Ludacris and all them. They worked together, Little John and all them. They was all working together and made their scene better. I bet they weren't all best friends.
Okay, Ted, what else other than kind of collaborating? And I think that's stuff that I suppose artists stateside have been doing for years, like Wu-Tang, etc. They come out in groups and then they all kind of drop their own individual thing. But Ted, what else do you think we should be doing?
Boy, there's been a lot of ground covered. What else?
Because when people say unify, what is that exactly? You know, is it just kind of coming to forums like this, or?
Well, it's a part of it. It's also accepting that there are certain routes that you might not necessarily want to take, but because it's in your interest, you should put that first and go with it. Like, there may be attitudes about, well, you know, man in London don't really care about us, so I'm not going to watch London. But London, you know, and stations in London, DJs and whatever, tastemakers and blah, 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 there are avenues there that you can explore. There are avenues elsewhere. Don't limit yourself necessarily just to the the things that you know about. Like, look for what else is available and take the opportunity to go and connect with those people and push it. You know, like there's a world out there, and yeah, there's the YouTubes and there's all the anonymous stuff you can do with the Instagram, and you get loads of anonymous people, but there are also links closer to home where, you know, there are these attitudes between cities sometimes, and it kind of, I had it even, you know, doing my show, I would hear about, you know, well, people ain't giving me music because they have a belief that as a Londoner, I don't business with what's going on elsewhere, and that was never my attitude, but I got tired with it just because of where I was from. So, you know, there are those kind of emotional sensitivities that people need to sometimes step over and just move forward. With Miss C. Brown, I was at a Four Pillars event. This young lady came up to me, she said, I like the way you spun that, you played some Mobb Deep, you did this, you did that. I was like, wow, who are you? She's like, I'm Miss C. Brown, I'm a DJ. And then that was 2 years ago. And, you know, we've been connecting and talking and doing whatever, and, you know, the opportunities for me to give her some links, she's done some links, and I'm sitting here now, and I'm humbled that she would ask me to come and speak to her city and, you know, engage with her people about stuff like this. Like, I'm blessed to be here, I'm loving this, you know.
And that started because Miss Brown expected to cry.
But that's the thing, right? It's all about humble. There's a lot of people are not humble, which gets on my tits. And it really does frustrate me because, you know, there's a lot of humble, right? But it's how I see it is that the egotistic. Anybody under 18?
No, say it.
Not
on the panel.
Get on my tits, and they look like they're elevating, they're kissing us, they're doing this, and they're getting this way. But the humble people who are saying, what are you doing? Oh, you're doing that? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we're having that conversation, just like you and Van had that conversation. But it's not happening. You know, when everyone leaves here, I'm hoping that we'll all still be connected. But me personally, I can only see like a couple of people there will be connected, a couple of people there will be connected, and then about a month down the line, what's going to be happening? I would hope that this carries on, but in my history, I can't see it. It's a great thing that C-Bound put on, but what's going to happen afterwards? That's what I want to know.
Can we get this view from the sides? What have you got to say?
I was just looking at this flyer.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I was doing a young people's event today in Dudley. A lot of young people wouldn't really be probably clued up on any part, so to speak. But interestingly, I see this little trapper, and we're talking about you know who's kind of little trapper for me is someone I hear his name a lot of young people. I haven't got a clue, to be honest, what he sounds like, what he looks like. I haven't researched him, so I'm thinking like I suppose we're looking at it from what we can do for young people, but how can we ask young people, well, what is it about a little trapper that's so appealing and then how do you draw the synergy then between what young people are interested in? Because you can't make young people interested in something that they're not interested in, if you know what I mean. So if we want to talk about moving things forward, young people are the future. How are we connecting with them to find out how the future, can...
But you know what? You know with that one as well. It's like I was saying about the generation gap. Because you've got the kind of older hip-hop generation and you've got the young generation. I use an example to kind of understand that, because with the younger ones, they find that they're kind of looked down on by the older generation. Because you speak to them about the music and they're like, you don't know about real hip-hop, what's all of this? Back in the day, I used to do this and that. But then I can say the same thing, because with the older generation hip-hop, you can say a lot of us come from, say, Caribbean descent, and in those ways, when you had the older kind of reggae type of our parents in that sense are like, you don't know about real music, you don't know back in the day. It's kind of like they're not getting the respect that they kind of deserve, and some of them are kind of being looked down on as to say what they're doing isn't real. The same way how the older hip hop generation was seen from the soul and the reggae people. So
that's what I'm asking. In terms of that though, how are we gonna synergize the two things? Because I think it's all well and good to see how thinking about bringing the industry forward from our perspectives and our knowledge and what we experience, but still in terms of what is fresh and what is like now, what is how we're making that,
Like I said, it's kind of like an educational aspect where they're both working together. Like I mentioned, the Link Up TV documentary. Like I said, with most UK kids, when they think of hip hop and they think of hip hop artists from the UK, the first name they can think of is Giggs. Some even think he was the first one, which is ridiculous. But when Link Up TV showed it, they showed like London Passing, they showed back in the day. They never heard of any of that, and coming from a relevant outlet like that, that was like, bruh, we've actually got history here, and that actually touched them. And it's that type of, that bridge, they need to be connected with the older statesmen and the kind of new ones. That's the thing which is missing.
And that's what I'm saying, like, this probably needs to be spoken about more than a bridge than of connecting, because how else?
Rox, do you think that we need more, like, do you think that this event should have attracted more younger people then?
I think so. Funny thing is, my son, who's one of my sons, is 22, and he's actually doing something similar to this, and they're focusing it on the young music scene and how they can move forward. So it's quite interesting that you've said that, because it is going on. There are some people out there that are actually interested in the movement for the younger generation, and they also go back to the older generation. I mean, as I said, my son's 22. My man knows every single line from Beat Street. I mean, there's kids out there now that are like, what's Beat Street? What's Wildstar? And I'm like, yo, because I taught my son, listen, this is the foundation of hip hop. This is what it's about. This is where it started from. And also going back to what SIC'NIS said about being a threat, seeing other people as threats. As, you know, this whole 4 pillars thing that I do, everyone seems to think I'm a promoter. I didn't get into it to do promotions. It's kind of like by an accident, but I'm more of a fan. So everyone I reach out to, I'm a fan of theirs, and I try to get them down. The main thing was, it was literally sharing the knowledge, bridging the gap between the old and the new. So if there's a young MC out there or a young dancer, I'm like, yo, come down, because there's a lot of us old people out there, not old, the older generation are just like, yo, you know, what's these young kids? They don't know nothing, but they, unbeknown to them, these young kids have got skills, and we can all learn off each other. That's the way I see it.
Okay, so we've talked about
each one teach one, isn't it? It's like each one teach one, and as much as we say that the youngers should respect the older generation because they paved the way or whatever, it's vice versa, and we can't expect them to respect something that they have no idea about. So if the first they heard of London Posse was Link Up TV, that's on us then, because then we should be really out there, you know, engaging with these with the younger generation, because as Syke said, they are the future, and they're going to continue to carry the movement forward long after we're gone.
You know, when we talk about bridging the gap between the old school and the new school, the younger generation, then maybe the older generations need to accept that sometimes the younger ones aren't going to have that knowledge, and, you know, not force feed them and say, well, in order to... No. Because I'm thinking, would they want to come to an event like this and hear people talk about, you don't know anything about hip-hop?
Well, no, we shouldn't be telling them that.
Why can't just start from gigs? I don't think that's okay. Why can't it start from just gigs? Because if you want to get young people here, they probably don't want to hear all that stuff.
But then there's a stand on the black trans.
Just to be... Can you just...
Yeah, sorry, just to touch on what my man said about, what's it called, events like this happening. I think it should happen more regularly, to be honest.
Yes.
As I say, everyone here is here for a reason, and I think it needs to be more like a monthly thing, you know, where everyone can get involved in the thing, you know.
But like E.D. said, you know, it's all right putting something in like this, but will the same amount of people be here or be willing to participate in a month's time, 2 months' time?
Trial and error, just keep going.
But there are always new people there's always different experience, there's always new knowledge, there's different knowledge to be imparted. I can't come up here every month.
I can.
But every 2 months or 3 months.
No, but the point I'm making is, like, at a certain point, you know, what I've got to say will be repetitious. But there are other, you know, people that have an experience which will be of value in continuation of what I've said. You know, it's a continuous contribution. My thing has always been about the continuation of a contribution. So when I started on KISS in London, I took over from some DJs called Max and Dave, who had been on that station for X amount of years previous and had started the station when it was a pirate station in the 80s. So I could never come on that station and deny their existence and just be like, yeah, Big Ted, Shorty Blitz, boy, hip-hop begins here. Like, that would be ridiculous. I would expect them man to wait for me outside the station and beat me down the first time I ever said something ridiculous like that, you know. And that, I think that's what it, but there was, this hurt my feelings. There was a guy, I'm not even going to get into who he was so much now, but he made a statement that he said, yeah, you know, because for real, British black MC has only really jumped off since So Solid, or So Solid was only like 11 years ago. And I took this dude to task on social media, and I said, what the
belly button
are you talking about? Are you trying to deny the existence of the sound man then? Not even like earlier hip hop man, but sound man. You're talking about MC, Smiley Culture, I should send a tenor fly with him man then from way back in Saxon.
So in order to bridge the gap between the new artists and the old artists, the newer artists have to kind of understand and appreciate what's happened before.
It's a case of, even if you don't know who it was, you must understand it was there.
But don't you think also we need to understand that we live in a kind of disposable society where you have something
we're told that things are disposable, and you don't need to believe that. You know, young people now, they're told that you need the new. That's why, you know, I'm 45 and people come like, I'm not fresh. I'm fresh. It's like, you see what I'm fresh. I see my man in his goose over there, you're fresh. You understand? We're fresh. We've been fresh. You know, fresh. You're fresh because I was fresh before you. But people man won't let them know that. You know, in order to get the new money, you have to cut things off at a certain point and make out like what you're doing is brand new, so that you can be into it because you're young and because you're about the new and because things are moving forward. You know.
Well, that doesn't take away from the fact that it's come from the old. Well, at the end of the day, a classic is always going to be, a classic is a classic because no matter when you play it, 10, 5 years, 20 years after the time, it still sounds as fresh today, and that's what the thing is. It's classical stuff. So I think when it comes to bridging the gap, it's very well saying we need the youngers. They need to.
No, I'm not trying to force the youngers to say it. I'm saying I know that I wasn't born by myself. My parents came together. They came before me. Each situation that you're in, something had to happen before you were able to do what you're doing. But
it's so true. For example, Chris Brown, you'll see Chris Brown dance, you think of Michael Malone, or you'll think of Usher, you will think of that because they, do you understand? They paved the way and they are legends. So anybody who comes about who's got that talent and that, they're instantly compared to legends, and that's what's going to happen.
It's not about forcing anybody. It's just about showing. And like you said, it was Link Up TV. Like, people in hip hop, we own a lot of cameras. There's a lot of cameras, and nobody's trying to document nothing.
That's what I'm saying. That's another thing.
So it's like we just have to take the power that we've got. You know what I mean? There's so many web channels. Like SBTV done a school by, and they had like me, Chester P, Roddy P was doing it, and he done like the documentary about a lot of the early 2000s, late 90s artists. So it's like people are doing it. We just need more of it.
So what about the people who can't get that outlet? What about the people who can't get the SBTVs and who can't get? So what do they?
I suppose they do it themselves, don't they? But let me just capture some views from people in the audience.
It suits to the whole discussion. Yeah. My experience of to building up a dance school. I had a dance school in Germany, and I had at the end 5 branches. I sold everything because it was too much business and too much soul. So in the end, I think you have to build up a new listener audience every 3 years, because every 3 years some children gonna get 16 years old or younger. It depends what kind of music and what words you use, yeah, and what the parents prefer. This is an important point. The children are not attracting through, oh, I think that's cool, because they're finding in the first time, oh, that's cool, that's as well, and oh, yeah, this, and Shall I go swimming, or shall I b-boying, or shall I go to the gym, or what shall I do? They don't know. So the attraction is not the point. I think to build up with education after the attraction, because the attraction is there. You are everywhere on YouTube. It is spread out all over the world. The attraction needs to be educated. It needs to be carried on all the time, and all the time fresh. And I think this is to build up a new generation after a new generation.
Okay.
And also
can I just say that if everyone can make their points slightly more quicker now, because you haven't got that much time.
I say a quick, real quick. And also, when you're educating them, educate them with something which is relevant to what they're doing now. Like, there's this Twitter account which I like to follow called Hip Hop Facts, and it shows like some old school facts. Like it's got like Jay-Z when he was here in like 1992, was in London and random crime things like that. But it's like there's like this random facts which it had that Kendrick Lamar, as a kid, was on his dad's shoulders in the Tupac California Love video. And then from that, people are like, that's linked there. So then straight away they go and watch the California Love video to try and kind of see if they can spot him. But you're subliminally educating them in that way. It's like if you link them to something which is connected, that is the bridge, right there, and that will allow the kids to actually research it. Because if you just tell them, oh yeah, hip hop started from this part and it's not linked to what they listen to in any way, they're like, yeah, whatever. Like they don't see that link, but when they physically see it, that's how you make it.
Okay. You want to...
Just a local thing. I'm not saying we can just replicate this every month or everything, but like the fact that Soweto and a whole bunch of other people put on the flyover show. There was some strategy in Soweto saying, okay, we're going to have younger artists, and we're going to have various different art forms, and we're going to bring them all to one place on one day. And sometimes, on that day, I don't know who's been to flyover show. There's a vibe there, which is like, wow, why can't we do this more? This is like Birmingham at its best and bringing other people in from other parts of the country. And that, to me, is where different generations are meeting. But that's just like once a year. That's not enough. And isn't hip hop custom made for people to meet up? Isn't that the whole point? It's like it's custom made that you meet and you see someone because they're dancing. They introduce themselves through what they're doing. It's not, you don't have to, you introduce yourself through your showing and improving. So I think we've got custom made. You don't need to meet up to debate something. We need to actually go back to the Zulu Nation ideals of like the fun of it. The unity comes from the fun of the beauty of what we're doing. So that's what I want to see. And there's, one very other small example from like Oakland, California, the whole turf scene. I don't know if anyone watches any of the Turf Fiends stuff or the Twins. Everyone knows the Twins. Yeah. So just, to me, it's weird that they're in Oakland. The pinnacle of your experience, the pinnacle of success is you're in someone's garage watching two people dance battle. That's it. That is as good as it's getting. Your success is not a made it, it's watching that battle, and there's little kids and people having little barbecues. To me, that's the essence. And if we shift our focus of success from, have I been seen by these people or by this many people, and it comes to like, my kid and my grandkid are both aware of my dancing abilities, and that's what I want to see happen.
Okay.
So can we bottle some of that? I don't know. And can we make the flyover show something more, more regular? That's what I'd like to see.
Good point. Ibu?
Yeah, I'd like to say that listening to what everyone said here tonight, it occurs to me that us older generation people have to make it fresh and cool to the younger generation. I've made Wu-Tang cool to my 14-year-old because I've been knocking in her head for a long time. So she can, she'll say, what do you listen to when you're going into a hectic situation? I say, I'll bring the records. She knows it because I explain the lyrics to her. So we need more, what my man said here, we need more link-up TVs, more SB TVs. We need to, but us older ones have to put it in perspective for the younger ones to understand what it is they're into. So we just need more of it. So whatever it is you've all been doing, we just need 10 times more of what you've been doing already. Then this will turn back into a movement.
Okay.
Okay, I've just got a point to make. I'm from London, but I've always been into hip hop with a small C in terms of the culture of hip hop. And I'd say that I used to play basketball, but the music was linked to the basketball, which would then advance your skills. And then I used to do promotions, and I didn't get into it like yourself because of the promotions, but because it was a part of the hip-hop culture and the people that I knew. We'd go to events, we'd go to places, and everybody in the crowd would be a part of what would be now called the industry. But then it was just what we did. So if I look back and I look at now, my industry that I work in full-time is advertising and marketing. So some of the points you made before, who are these people that do that crap? I'm one of those people. So what I do on my day-to-day basis, it involves hip-hop, it involves the culture, it involves the lifestyle, but I never became an artist, but I've always worked with Chadless. So me and Conway, Ibu, Blackitude, the different aliases that he's known, right? We've known each other over 21 years. So I'm one of the old school, but in my day-to-day living, I have to understand the young. And you can only understand the young by understanding the shifting culture. And where we used to physically do things on a day-to-day basis, they can be a hermit and be the most popular person in the world in their terms. And that's the major change. That's the biggest change that I've seen in all of the events or the marketing or the promotions. If there's a product push, you don't have to know what you're doing to be popular. You don't have to know what you're doing to be famous. But what you do have to know moving forward is who you are and who your team is. If you create self-awareness and you have a team and you move forward with your team, that team can go in places that you can't go as an individual. And you may not get on with everyone, but if you've got a bigger team, that's how you unite, that's how you create a network. And the problem with looking at it is what can we do for them? It's not what they can do, we can do for them, it's what they can do for us. We have to understand how they behave, how they learn, how they work. So just giving you a quick example, I know the time's short. I went to a seminar and there's a 17-year-old boy that recently sold his company to Yahoo. And one of the most interesting points that he made was that they're the disposable generation. They've got a mobile phone in their hand that anything they want to know is as soon as it comes into their head, they can search for it on their phone and get the answer. What that means is that they no longer have loyalty. It means that if I want to know something now, I don't have to learn how to do it. I don't have to go to the shop. I don't have to go to the library. I don't have to do anything. I can just pick up my phone, find the answer. And I think we need to understand how to create a framework, because we're the older generation, we can create a framework that they can work within, but we allow them to still be creative.
Okay, good point. I just want I'd like to get to a few people in the audience, so again I'll say you can keep it kind of short and sweet because we're pushed for time.
I might get as short as I can. Sister mentioned education and bridging that gap between the young and the old. And I'm not sure, I'm not in the education industry, but I'm not sure how hip-hop is explained through the young, in the primary education and the secondary education. But I think maybe if there was a program on the history of hip-hop, and the culture, the influences within hip-hop in those two spheres, in primary and the secondary education, and it being part of the core elements of music maybe, or history, then I think that would be an opportunity to bridge that gap. Yeah? I don't know if anyone's watched a documentary called The Tanning of America by Steve Stout. Brother over here mentioned that he's in marketing. It's an extremely informative documentary which chronicles hip-hop and its influence on culture, business, and all that, the whole sphere there. If you ever watch that documentary, it'll give you an idea as to how you can bridge that gap and actually educate people as well at the same time.
Thanks for your views. Was it you?
Yeah, no, so, well, obviously I've been here from the beginning. I've heard a lot of people making their points, and obviously I could come in, I could talk all day and all night, and a lot of people have got a lot of things to say. First of all, we're talking about education. Education comes from the Greek Latin word educate, which means to induce, to bring the best out of one. And the biggest thing in education is you. So if you're not seen within that education, then really you're not being educated. And there's a certain amount of education that we're obviously taking upon. So if we don't link together, that's the older generations. So when I began in hip-hop, no one knew nothing about hip-hop, and we came out and we were the the trousers. It was mainly people like John McEnroe and the sports players, they were doing their thing. So I mean, I'm a foundation. What is a foundation? Well, if you look in Africa, we've got the step. We've got the step underground pyramid built by Imhotep, by Norma, who's the first, he's from the first dynasty. And then we look later down, we've got Khufu. And then the people who are older, who came later than that, they build their pyramids higher. But you couldn't actually build it higher, but they built it on higher ground. So some of these metaphors are simply of what we've got to use. A pyramid has 13 layers. So obviously we've got the foundation there. They say 13 is an unlucky number, but 13 is actually relinking, and that's the capstone, which is the black stone on top, which is Ptah, who made himself out of everything. So the main point is what I'm saying is if we don't get the wisdom, like Muhammad Ali when he won against Sonny Liston, and then he changed his name to Cassius Clay, he went to the nation, he said, yeah, this is what I'm going to throw down. And he was the cat rapping. Then we need to know where rap came from, because rap comes from the revolution of the Black Panthers, the rebirth 10 years later, of people are like saying, yeah man, these police are coming around here, you know, people are breaking on me and all this stuff. And if we don't know, and we're just being willy-nilly and you know, listen to shit up, which I call it, because I mean, you've got to be good to impress me. This brother here, I don't know what he's listening to, but I like to see more brothers like this. Can we give this brother a round of applause, please? Seriously. Because that's really what the ancestors are going to be happy about. That's what they're going to be fulfilled with. But I mean, again, if you can find a structure where even I can come in, or people can come in and actually educate the children or the next generation and actually what happened, you know, actually fighting for our rights and it coming out to the gospel movement, then we'll be a lot better off. But you know, there's so many things to say in so little time. But thank you very much. Thank you.
I know everybody's stuck for time, so I'll keep this as short as I can. Everybody's talking about, yeah, we need to educate the children and take it back to the golden age. Yeah, we show them the foundation, but we also need to teach them to be original. There's no point them studying Wu-Tang talking about, yo, I want to be like Wu-Tang. They need to be their own lane. There's no point taking someone else's foundation, running with it, and going on like they're the originators. So I think that people really need to be taught to be original more than anything else in order for anything to progress. Otherwise, it's just going to degress.
You can't be taught to be original. You're either original or you're not. Originality is something that's unique to the individual.
It's about making it.
So it's just about making that the norm then.
All right, teach them knowledge of self.
That's
to be their own.
Teach them that biting is whack.
Exactly.
But there's also, I'd like to say that, but what I've seen lately in the UK hip hop scene, there is a lot of originality out there. A lot of these cats out there now, they're very original from what I can see. You know, you got people out there coming on stage with bands, you've got singers, and I think it's really good. I think the scene's thriving, quite frankly.
An example of that is, I don't know if you heard, there's a group in London called Orphan Gang. Yeah. And they've got that exact same vibe. It's like completely live band, like soulful, jazz. It's different, and they've got a following as well.
There's another group in, sorry to harp on about London. There's a group in London, Black Rustas. Are you one fam? These guys, I was like, what? These guys have got full on locks, and then when you hear them spit, it's just like, whoa. They are really good, and if they come with a live band, they've got like the drums, and literally it's like a scene from Rockers at the beginning. You just want to go, Rastafari, when it's wicked.
I think there's nothing wrong with studying the blueprints that other people have laid in the past, as you were saying, Curtis. But you do have to, you know, tweak it and come with your own thing. But the point that I'm making is you do have to study. Like, you're not going to be a master of your craft without putting in the work and without experiencing it. So that was just not the point.
There's just really briefly, there's one major difference that I've seen that happens in America that doesn't happen over here, especially with the black situation. There's always a reinvention of what's gone before. Like in terms of just like my field is radio. So when I go to America, I listen to the radio, and there are all these other stations that play a variety of music from going way back to right now. And even on a lot of the regular stations, they play music that comes from then to now in samples and whatever else. And we don't have that as a mainstream situation over here at all. There is no connection between all of the generations of, even going back to Lovers Rock, to, you know, the people making reggae music now, Gappy Ranks, there's no lineage at all, even Smiley Culture in the middle or whatever. There's nothing that relates any of it that even just turning on the radio you can listen to. You know, for Loose Ends, the soul music they made, to Beverly Knight, to whoever's doing, you know, UK R&B now, there's no discernible visual, physical lineage that we're given the opportunity to participate in, and that for me is a major problem. So if we don't have it for music that was hitting the charts, like British reggae music, like British soul music, British hip hop music has no chance of, you know, just having an audience being able to participate in the history of it and learn, you know, not just be told, but just to enjoy and to learn through play.
I hate to cut you off.
No, please. I was trying to be succinct, but I felt
get kicked out.
you needed to.
Like I said, there's loads of things to say. We can go on and on, but I think I'd like to end it with the panel giving maybe a perspective, 30 seconds, please, on just basically what you think should happen, what we can do now in Birmingham or other people, artists in the UK to improve the scene. 30 seconds. I'll start with Malik.
Okay, first of all, I would say it's not just artists, it's cameramen, it's promoters, you know what I mean, DJs, it's about the combination of those aspects, because you need the DJs to play your music, you need the promoters so you can do shows.
You talk about a network, building some kind of network.
Yeah, and regardless, they're all here, you know what I mean. When I spoke at the time, Word on Road, Flowshare, Grindback, they were like, after SBTV, they were like the third and fourth and fifth biggest web in the UK, and they're from Birmingham, only because work done and because the artist was putting out the work to give them that little coordination done a lot. So if it was coordinated properly, promoters and whatnot across the board, I think it's that kind of infrastructure we need to at least just start our movement going.
Okay, Smooth, can I ask you to say?
It's to basically realise that if it's a hobby or a serious thing, it's a 24/7 thing, no matter where you are. If you're an artist, you've got you say you have your mix CDs and your material on you with your promotional material everywhere you go. Even if you go in shopping to Sainsbury's or something like that, you never know who you could see there. And also the networking aspect as well. Because straight away if you're an artist, like bam, Germany, Ireland, right there. You got your connections there straight away. You got artists up here. As soon as it's finished, just go and talk to as many people as you can, network, because you never know who anybody is and who they could end up to be, and you never know what you could work on together.
Okay, SIC'NIS.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Well, just, you know, what do you think we can do, or what do you think should happen to kind of improve the scene?
Definitely remove the ego. I think it's not about what. Just go with the ethos of each one, teach one, and I think that will be fine. And I mean, unity is key.
Okay, and Rox?
I'd say stop the infighting. As SIC'NIS said once again, you know, don't see people as a threat, especially as someone that's in promotion now. I don't see, you know, if a man's got an event on another day or same day as mine, I don't see it as a threat. I'm like, yo, he's doing his thing, I'm doing mine. Also, you know, use social media. That tool there, I mean, Twitter alone. There's nothing worse than, you know, like Missy Brown, she's put on this event, and, you know, when I put on my event, I expect the artist to keep tweeting about it. There's nothing, it doesn't cost, you know, it doesn't take a second just to go retweet. The amount of times I put on an event and I've said to the artist, can you retweet this? And they're like, I'm busy, you know, like, just press the button, fam. What's the problem? You know, so use social media and, you know, just keep moving together. Everyone should just come together and stop infighting. That's my thing.
Ted, do you think you could do 30 seconds?
Well,
literally 30 seconds.
I just think, to reiterate what everybody said, make the links and use the links. Like, exploit does not have to be a negative word. Exploit the links, exploit and explore the opportunities and the possibilities that are right there in front of you. And really just go for it.
By a show of hands, if Miss C. Brown put on a similar event, maybe taking into account everything that's been said today and make a different kind of event, would you all be interested by a show of hands? that's pretty much everyone here. Okay, well, I'm going to bring
You
this...
didn't put your hand up.
I support her 100%. She's
I'm
my
just,
girl.
I'm just making it clear, you know, like...
The question doesn't need to be asked. Missy Brown's going to come on and say a few words, but before she does that, I'd just like to thank the audience, all of you coming out here to support it. I'd like to thank Dan for that spoken word, it was excellent. I'd like to thank our panel, Smooth Fuego, SIC'NIS, Hold It Down for Women, Malik, Teddy Ted, and Rux. Also to Charlotte and Sharifa for helping support this event. And also finally, I think we need to give a big, big, big round of applause for Miss C. Brown for putting this together.
I just wanted to thank everyone for coming. Thanks for showing support and for just believing in me. I'm just one person and I just felt like there was a need for this. And the way I met Colin Rux, the way I met Big Ted, you know, Smooth Fuego, all different people in here. You know, it's nice that we can all like come together and do stuff like this. So I definitely want to take it forward, and I'll be interested to know your opinions of what we can do to move forward. So hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, and give me your ideas and thoughts and suggestions, and we can, you know, move forward. And I want to thank the guy from One Extra who came down. I think he came from Croydon. I don't know if he's still in here. If you're in here, can you put your hand up, please? Thank you for coming. He doesn't know me at all. Wow. Yeah, I know him through Twitter, and he's come all the way down here. I've never met you before. Thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. So, yeah, that's it really. Thank you.